You want me to put that on my Tudor?
This One's Wife, the cul-de-sac of cringe. Hello, I'm HG Tudor. In order to help you understand more about the behaviours of this one's wife, I interpret those behaviours through the prism of her narcissism, and I do so regularly with news pieces which report upon how she behaves, how Harry behaves, the interaction between the two of them, and that enables me to shed light on the dynamic for you. Daniela Elsa writes in news.com.au, "Need the money. This one's wife and Prince Harry's wild next move." Well, well, well. Let us all now ponder the very important question. How many pairs of clean socks does Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, own? This weekend has seen the man, the myth, the never-quite-made-it podcaster turn up at the Formula One Grand Prix in Austin, Texas, where he seemed to have a tremendous time peering at screens with a series of interchangeable blokes in polo shirts, while they all wore a surfeit of lanyards. Vroom, vroom. For anyone keeping count, this Texas jaunt makes the third jolly that Harry has enjoyed in just over a month. Portugal, the Canoan, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and now the Lone Star State, forcing us to contemplate just how he might be faring for clean socks and knickers right now. Despite running the risk of running out of boxers in the last 10 days or so, the Duke has notched up at least 2 private jet flights, a stay on a Caribbean island where billionaires go to escape millionaires, and been a guest, reportedly, of a couple of corporate giants at the F1, Mercedes-AMG and Petronas. Harry might be the 5th in line to the throne, but his conversion to Hollywoodism seems nearly complete. In a Calabasas monstrosity of a mansion right now, a single tear of pride is probably sliding down Kris Jenner's face. And lo, the final step to complete his showbiz baptism could be upon us. There are now claims circulating, which thus far have about as much weight to them as a Victoria sponge cake, that he and wife, this one's wife, are considering making a cameo appearance on the Kardashians. To just pause for a moment and to take stock, here we are, less than 4 years after Her late Majesty had to learn the US country code to leisurely dial on her trusty Windsor Castle rotary phone, and the Sussexes might be about to reach the ultimate precipice. Are we about to witness 2 members of the royal family appearing to play chummy with the first family of American consumerism for the sake of their limp careers? Now, pausing there, Harry has to do what he's told. This one's wife will go wherever her narcissism directs her. Remember, she has no sense of shame. She has no embarrassment. And therefore, if the narcissism, for instance, says it's a good idea to go on a chat show with Ellen DeGeneres and pretend to be a baby and then do some squatting, she will do it. This is why many narcissists actually succeed in certain careers in entertainment. Many of you listening would think there is no way I could ever put myself on the stage and do a dance routine or sing, etc. in front of all of those people. I'd feel embarrassed. I'd be worried in case I didn't do very well. You may have often watched some of the so-called talent shows and thought to yourself, good Lord, that person has no ability whatsoever, and yet there they are appearing on stage and they don't give a fig. Sometimes those individuals are just plain nuts, but much of the time you're seeing narcissists, because the very fact that they're getting recognition, i.e. fuel, powers them so that they don't have any sense of concern that they look an absolute dickhead whilst playing a flute with their foo-foo on stage in front of a load of people. The fact is, their narcissism, the need for control, the need for fuel, the need for those residual benefits, overpowers any sense of embarrassment that could possibly exist in relation to what they are doing. This translates as a form of ambition, that those individuals, for instance, that now have hugely successful careers, ran the gauntlet of being booed at small comedy clubs, of being laughed off stage, of having bottles of piss thrown at them. Why? Because it's all attention. It's all fuel. And ultimately, propelled by a deluded sense of self-belief, some make it through. Some have a talent, and even though those early stages they're given a rough ride, their talent shines through along with that indefatigable spirit to succeed. In other instances, you get individuals who are simply famous for being famous. They have no identifiable talent, and yet their narcissism has allowed them to achieve fame and fortune. This one's wife is similar. She has no talent whatsoever, and yet here she is, a wealthy woman who is known all around the world. Why? Because she's this one's wife, and she has no shame in repeatedly ensuring that she's covered in the newspapers and blogs and videos in relation to what she gets up to and does. And this also translates into she will basically do anything that she can in order to maintain that wealth as a residual benefit and the fame which enables her to garner fuel and control so many people. Thus, becoming involved in the Kardashians is entirely something that could happen. Returning to what Daniela Elsa has to state, she writes, "If this actually comes to pass, I predict that sales of fainting couches will go through the roof." The glaring question here is, why for the love of God and all that is holy would the Sussexes consider going down this déclassé path? Or should that be the cul-de-sac of cringe? Now, I just explained to you precisely why that is. It's her narcissism that recognises that taking such a step would allow the control of many people through extended fame, the receipt of fuel from so many reactions, and of course that all-important residual benefit of money. But let's see if Daniela Elsa hits those correct buttons also. She states the answer, at least according to an old Etonian friend of Harry's, is dosh. Well, there's the residual benefit. The pal, who has maintained a friendship with William despite not being in touch with Harry anymore, has now spoken to the Daily Beast Tom Sykes. The insider has told the Beast, "I mean, it used to be a joke. Oh, they're going to be the new Kardashians. The idea that it could actually happen is insane. I'm gobsmacked. They have frittered away their reputations, such as they were, in pursuit of money, and this is the result. I actually think they will ultimately probably will do it, or something very like it. They've done everything else, and they are going to need the money." This anonymous old boy raises an excellent question. Just what are the Duke and Duchess going to do in the years to come to keep the cash rolling in? Well, before we hear what Daniela Elsa thinks, I've explained to you that this is one of the key problems for Harry, in that he also has no discernible talent other than shaking hands and opening supermarkets. And therefore, if he'd had stuck to that, within the auspices of the royal family, he would have been okay. But now he's been cast out into the wider world, and he's finding that nobody's particularly interested in what he can do. They just want to know about him because of his connection to the royal family, which of course he and his handler have been severing. And the problem for Harry is this: as the money starts to dry up and it becomes patently clear that he's unable to replace it, this will prompt his disengagement. And therefore, in terms of what will they do to keep the money rolling in, Harry will undoubtedly end up crawling back to London and having to issue a huge mea maxima culpa in front of King Charles. And meanwhile, this one's wife will have courted some decrepit old billionaire in order to sink her fangs into him. Daniela Elsa writes, "Their content-making forays have achieved mixed results. From his book Spare becoming the fastest-selling non-fiction book of all time, to two of their Netflix series disappearing into the streamer's vast back catalogue without a trace. Spotify parted ways with Duke and Duchess of Sussex earlier this year, with no other podcasting platform having eagerly snapped them up. Imagine the frenzied scenes that would have played out in 2019 if Harry and this one's wife had been keen to make an audio series. A scrabbling, biting pack of streaming executives would have appeared outside the gates of Frogmore Cottage, brandishing briefcases full of ready money to try and get them on board. No further book or Netflix products have been publicly announced, though the entertainment giant did reportedly buy the rights to hit novel Meet Me at the Lake so that the Sussexes can have a go at doing some scripted content. Does any of this sound like the makings of stable long-term careers that will ensure the couple's future financial viability? Which is why, perhaps, going down the Kardashian route makes some sense for Harry and this one's wife. If the focus of Sussexes' reality TV appearance was, say, aligned with one of their major causes and sought to reframe them as America's first couple of caring, then it could go a long way to overriding the impression of them as serial woe-is-us cavaliers. It could also lend their brand a much-needed populist boost. Polling data out last week and reported by Newsweek, the Duchess's net popularity has only fallen in recent months as she has embraced a much more public profile. The Kardashians streams in more than 60 countries worldwide, while Jenner and her 5 daughters combined boast more than 1.2 billion Instagram followers, which could be one hell of a balm for brand Sussex. The signs that Harry and this one's wife are going full tilt Hollywood and cracking the LA power clutch have been appearing for months now. The couple has been photographed out to dinner with Cameron Diaz, which, as we all know, they weren't really. Gwyneth Paltrow and Bumble founder Whitney Wolfe Herd and their various husbands, although we all know that didn't actually happen. This one's wife did some high-level mingling at a Beyoncé concert in September, alongside Rocket Man Jeff Bezos, Netflix head honcho Ted Sarandos, Adele, Kim Kardashian, Mar Jenner, the Biebers, Chris Rock and Lizzo. And in October, the Duke and Duchess turned up at Kevin Costner's 1805 charity bash. They also have the requisite estate, have acquired the services of one of President Barack Obama's former bodyguards. For the last 6 months, the Duchess has been represented by the Beyoncé of agents, Ari Emanuel at WME, and the members-only San Vicente Bolongelos is, as the Telegraph reported, Harry's escape place. It's more than a little mind-blowing when you consider that this time 5 years ago, in 2018, Harry and this one's wife were busy charming the pants off our entire nation during their Australian official tour. The Sussexes were the bright, thrilling future of the royal family, and the monarchy seemed to be going great guns. We're a long way from Buckingham Palace, Toto. The complete la-la landification of Harry seems to be here. Well, it certainly is, because he has to go along with what his handler states, and he's fully subsumed into all of that. Will it succeed? The short answer is no. Why? This one's wife's narcissism means that there are so many collateral consequences that whatever she touches, she has the Sadim touch. It turns to shit. Furthermore, there are so many people that don't like her, there's not going to be some major redemption. There's not going to be some moment where she suddenly manages to turn it around as a consequence of 1, she has no talent, 2, she has no charisma, and 3, she's just so disliked by so many people. And although these continued attempts into celebrity-dom will continue, they're not actually going to get her anywhere, and ultimately the patience of WME will run out, and she will no longer be able to tag along on the back of their other clients, and she will find herself circling and almost upon that plug hole as the downward spiral has continued. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.